She was the youngest head coaching hire in Division I history, and at just 23, won the NCAA championship her very first season, adding to the 4 titles she captured as a player. UNC Field Hockey's wonderkin coach Erin Matson is today's guest on the Athlete Effect podcast. Bonnie Bernstein welcoming you in. And when I tell you this, I genuinely mean it. You're going to want to listen to every morsel of this interview because there are so many gems, stories, pearls of wisdom Erin shares that you will be able to fold into your own life, from effective communication techniques in tough situations to NIL, tips for building your brand, and how to prep for job interviews. In fact, Erin lays out in detail for the very first time the 4-point plan that enabled her to land the most coveted gig in college field hockey less than 2 months after literally walking off the graduation stage in Chapel Hill. We're also going to get the skinny on whether the 2028 Olympics are on Erin's radar. But before we press go, I want to give you a shout out, whether you're a first timer or you're one of our ride and dies. If you're here, you are interested in learning how to leverage sports to get a leg up in life and in your career. We've got amazing guests, so please take a second to subscribe to our channels, rate, review, maybe even share the pod with other leaders in your life. All right, it's time to get into it with one of the goats of college field hockey. Here is Erin Matson. Erin Matson, welcome to the Athlete Effect
Thank
Sisterhood. Let's play the GOAT game. Greatest of all-time athletes edition. NFL.
Tom Brady.
NHL.
Wayne Gretzky.
Men's soccer.
Oh, Messi.
Okay, we could do Ronaldo or Messi, but we can go with Messi.
Messi.
Women's soccer.
Mia Hamm.
NBA.
Michael Jordan. Obviously. There's only one answer to that question.
Field hockey.
Oh, don't make me say myself.
Well, I'll do it if you don't want to do it.
Don't do that.
There is actually a choice here. So I will say it. Field hockey, Erin Matson. One word to describe how you feel being lumped into that category.
Oh, gosh. Either honored or whatever the word is for, I don't think about that. That doesn't cross my mind. I just look up to those individuals.
I think we call that intentional oblivion.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Sure. And we'll give it 2 words, because why not?
What do you and Michael Jordan and Mia Hamm have in common?
I would probably say that we have an obsession when it comes to our craft. More so, I think, the purpose of winning and competing and what that does for us.
Can I prompt a different answer?
Sure.
The fact that you're all Tar Heels.
That too. And look where we're sitting. Yes, that too. I mean, hey, Carolina breeds excellence, so it makes sense.
Here's one other thing that you have in common. You all had Hall of Fame coaches.
Yeah.
So Mia was coached by Anson Dorrance, who had 21 championships, coached the national team for soccer. Dean Smith coached Michael Jordan. At the time he retired, the all-time winningest coach. He had 2 championships. And then, of course, Karen Shelton, your coach, the GOAT of field hockey coaching. How much of a greater appreciation do you have for that now that you were a coach yourself?
I connect so many dots that I wasn't connecting before, and I didn't have to be. And so many moments I reflect on that things were ingrained in me, things were taught to me, and I didn't even know it. I have so much more respect for how they handled us, what they did, and how they just dedicated their life to us. And their focus was us, and it was total selflessness. So I didn't realize how important that was at the time.
When you say you're connecting the dots now as a coach that you didn't when you were a player, what are some examples of that?
After every game, coach would get up, and give a spiel on the game and call out the players who did well or scored goals, or anyone, maybe they weren't on the stat sheet, but they deserved recognition, or it was alumni weekend and she would call out the alums or say thank you to the parents. And now after games, I go into my office and I close the door and I'm like, just give me 2 minutes to get my points down, because I know how important that 5-minute speech is. And you keep it lighthearted, but that means something in the consistency of that over a season. It seems like such a small moment, but over time and how meticulous she was with it, it really carried weight. And now I'm the one making the speeches, and I completely understand why she was so particular with them.
I find myself wondering how being a 3-time captain of the team was helpful when you were transitioning to being a coach.
Yeah.
What similarities do you see in those responsibilities that you would flag as, oh yeah, this was super helpful?
I was not afraid to speak up. I came in as a freshman and I wasn't even a captain yet and I was barking orders, but I was able to do that because I also backed it, and I would never ask anyone to do something I didn't know or something I couldn't do myself or something I didn't think, they could handle. That was a big eye-opening moment for me being a coach, because even though it's not give me the ball now, I'm asking you to do this, here, go watch me do it too. It's asking them how to carry themselves throughout a day or how to treat each other, and I have to treat them the same way. I have to be just as intentional with my staff. And my leadership journey as a player, then taking over and coaching my players, they all remember those moments of how I handled a hard conversation, of how, even if I didn't do something right, then how I was vulnerable about it and say, I should have handled this better. It's important looking back now how I was coached and how I handled situations that now I'm presented with in a different way and through a different lens that they refer back to.
How do you communicate differently with your players when you're the boss versus when you were one of them?
As a player, it was way easier because, again, I would tell them to do something, and during practice, this isn't good enough, I need you to do this more, but then they saw me doing it. Here, it's not as easy, it's not as simple as that, and the way you have to hold people accountable and challenge them and have those hard conversations needs to be handled very well, because they're not tying it to watching you go out there and do it too. They can easily look at you and say, well, what are you doing? You're standing there on the sideline. Why do you want me to be challenged here? So the way I leaned on that when I was first hired is that openness. And this is why we're doing it. This is what I need from you. This is how it's going to help you. This is why the team needs it. Understanding the purpose behind it. And sometimes that purpose is, I'm the head coach and you need to trust me. But just the transparency there. Okay, I won't ask questions. My mind's not going to go off. I'm going to trust you. Once they're bought in, then they go and try, they go and do it, then we learn together, but it doesn't feel like a barking of an order.
Having covered Michael Jordan, the running joke with Michael was he was never going to coach.
Right.
Because he was always the guy who came in early, was the last one to leave, and he didn't have the patience for anybody who didn't come to the table.
I don't think I do.
Okay, well, but that's what I'm going to ask you. Coaching was never an option for him. Having the level of expectations you do for yourself, with your drive, with your ambition, with your work ethic, with the way you show up every day. The reality is you are never going to get a full team of Erin Matsons.
Yeah.
So how do you measure those expectations so you can ultimately get the best out of your players?
Great question. And I think that has been the biggest thing this job has taught me so far, is how to be patient, but more so, I think, just empathetic and understanding. And I think that's needed in college athletics right now. I think it's needed in just managing people right now and the next generation. And I am that generation, so I get it. I get why they're yearning for that. That has been the biggest aha moment of my leadership journey into a coach.
What you're talking about now is really evolved communication.
Yeah.
And that's what I love so much about you, because you know how to be a tough coach. But it's that empathy piece that I really think empowers the best leaders to bring everything out of the people who are surrounding them. What's the story that helped you start leaning into empathy?
I just remember one day practicing and something clicked where the way I was communicating, I just started adding to the back end of it how I can help that person. So, for example, I need you on the far post there. That ball can't go across the far post. I want to give it to you so we can score. Simple. Instead of saying, be on the far post. Okay, but it's not as powerful. Yeah. There's a power in that empathy, in the sense of we are doing this together and I'm meeting you where you are, and I'm expecting you to meet me where I am too. We don't take that in the sense of coasting or being easy on people or anything like that. It's just being understanding so that we don't need to drop this standard. And then everyone listened way better. And then I felt empowered too, because I felt like I was helping.
This is working.
Yeah, like we're doing this together. So it really simply just started with giving feedback on the field.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll talk with Erin about what it's like to be a 13-year-old on a national team full of 20 and 30-somethings, the Hall of Fame coach who became Erin's confidant, and precisely how she landed the UNC coaching job straight out of college. The Athlete Effect will be right back. Field hockey first came into your view when you were 6 years old.
Yeah.
And you and a girlfriend of yours went to a hockey camp. And I know it was love at first stick.
Yeah.
Or whatever
For me, not her.
What was it about the sport that you really gravitated toward at such a young age?
What I've always loved about field hockey is the creativity there. The job is you play good defense and you score more goals than the other team. But you can do that so many different ways. And the way I was coached was never robotic. You should pass here. You should be doing this. It was principle based, and that's how we do it here, so that when you're out there, you can be the one making the decision. And it's a fast game. So I like the energy. I like the excitement. You need to be creative and make those decisions at a very high speed and high intensity. But I really do. I have thought about this a lot, like, why field hockey? And I think the element that I always come back to is the creativity behind it.
Well, I was wondering if it had anything to do with your parents. Your dad was a baseball player in college, but your mom played predominantly softball at Yale. But early on, she dabbled in field hockey too. So I'm thinking, okay,
we can tell them that answer. We
Mom
make
started
them proud.
planting the seeds early on. No, not at all.
No, and they, I don't really know why I think it was like, this clinic's going on, this will be fun for the girls, but no, and they, all throughout it, they pretty much let me do my thing and guided me. They never really, told me what I should and shouldn't be doing. And I think, actually, talking out loud now, that is a big part of how I lead too. I'm not here to tell you exactly what to do, except when it needs to be done.
Except when I need you to do something.
When it really needs to. But even then, I really try to ask more questions or explain purposes and have dialogue and play devil's advocate and collaborate in a sense, so that I'm guiding, because I believe that's where the learning is. I believe that's where the growth is, regardless if it's my players, my staff, myself, whoever it is. But I guess it came from my parents. They just saw, I have a knack for this, and let's just support and guide so that she can succeed.
Competitive household between you and your brother?
Yeah.
And you and your brother are what, 2 years apart?
2 years apart,
And he was a pitcher at Harvard.
Yep.
Now he's playing in the minors.
Yep.
So what was that like?
Oh my gosh, we had a lot of fun, except when we were fighting over being too competitive. My dad's biggest rule was, you can put holes in the wall, you can do whatever, but only if you're practicing.
Oh.
So we had a net up, I was doing stick work and stuff, and the ball would hit the wall, and he wouldn't get mad about the wall. I would be like, why wasn't that pole good enough? But he was like, I'll patch the wall. But my brother and I would go down and work out together and practice together. It actually worked well, because I would hit balls back to him and he'd field them like a ground ball and then chuck them back at me, and it worked out well. Training growing up, but then we had all of the games you create as brothers and sisters, where it's who can score on this person, or any of the silly games you create.
All of which you won, presumably?
For a long time, until he got stronger and taller and quicker, and yeah. We had a lot of fun, very competitive, but we all kind of fed off of it and enjoyed it.
You made your first national team for indoor hockey when you were 13 years old.
Yeah.
And when I was doing the research, there was a lot of prodigy and Mount Rushmore of UNC and wunderkind thrown around. For you personally, when did the light bulb go on that made you think, I might actually be really good at this?
We had this blue room in my basement. We called it that because my dad epoxied the floor, so it was really fast, so my skills could be quicker.
Your dad epoxied the floor so you could have a quick surface to work on.
Yep.
That is a dedicated father. Not every dad's going to go do that, by the way.
And very smart.
Yeah.
And the paint on the ground was blue, so blue room. There was a cement wall, and I lived on a concrete wall growing up. Receiving, passing off of it, skills, everything. I loved that blue room. And in that blue room, I had a poster of the national team at the time, and I was young, and those are who you look up to, and I would do my pulls and my arms would be on fire, and I would take my break, my 30-second break, and I'd be like staring at the poster, and I'd go back and do my pulls. And I went back upstairs when I was done, and my dad and I were just sitting in my room. I was 9 at the time. And I looked at him and I said, Dad, I think I want to play in the Olympics one day. I honestly don't remember his reaction other than like, okay, like, sweetheart, sounds good. He
nice
probably
pat
was
on
like,
the head.
what?
Okay,
What did my 9-year-old just say? And I know for him that was a moment too, because I think that it was during the time where my parents were finally being like, oh, hearing from other people, seeing me do things, like, she's gifted with that. And again, I don't know why I said it and why I was thinking that at 9 years old, but obviously there was something deeper there where I was feeling that I was good at it.
That level of confidence, when you had that realization at 9, had to come into play when you were a 13-year-old playing on a national team. You're the youngest girl by far. At what point have you realized that the confidence that you needed to be able to thrive in that environment has been really critical in your early career success?
I think it was a culmination of having so many coaches who believed in me, having my parents who believed in me. It taught me to work harder, and the more you prepare, the more you train, the more you do something, you feel comfortable with it, which equates to confidence in big moments. And I definitely had it for my support system, and I took care of my side of things to make sure that I was prepared.
You're at North Carolina, a place that you had wanted to go pretty much since you were little, because you met Coach Shelton fairly early on. When was the seed first planted in your head that you wanted to be a coach? Honestly,
very late. I knew I thought of the game in a different way, and I knew I was good at articulating that to teach someone else. Never in a million years did I think this was going to be my job. And I also was like, Karen's been here for 42 years, whatever at the time. She's just never leaving, right? Like, you're in it for that long. You're just like, she's gonna do this forever. So I forget who it came from. I think I heard from the grapevine of like, oh, Coach is gonna retire after the season. At first I was like, I don't know if it's true. And then a couple more people started saying it to me. So then I was like, Mom, Dad, like, is this something that could happen? And then the more I sat with it and the more I just had internal discussions with myself, I was like, I don't know if this is crazy. Like, I think I can do it. My last season, we won, and Coach did retire, and I was like, let's go after this. Like, I know I can do it.
I want to take it back a little further. I know Mac Brown, the great football coach, has been a mentor to you. So I called him.
Oh!
I said, Mac, tell me some Erin stories. And he said, I'll never forget the first day she asked to meet with me. It was her junior year. And he thought it was strange because you were a field hockey player and he's a football coach. And you came in, and the first thing that you were asking him about was, how could you be more relatable with your teammates? Because at the time you were practicing a lot with the national team.
Yeah.
And he said you brought a notebook and you were taking copious notes. But then at the end of the meeting, when you're still a junior, you started asking him about coaching. And the light bulb went off in his head. Oh my gosh, this woman is thinking maybe she's going to be the next
Mac knew it before I knew it.
coach of North Carolina.
I was fortunate to be surrounded by so many greats here, coaches, players, student athletes. That makes me happy that he remembers that moment like that.
How much was Karen an advocate for you? Because your story is very much like hers, because she was probably hired around the same age in her early 20s and wound up staying for 40 plus years. How did you actually broach that conversation? Like, hey, I'm looking to replace you whenever it's time for you to retire. Can you help a sister out? Like, how did that all happen?
We didn't talk about it when I was playing because I was playing. And then right after, I was like, Coach, I know I can do it too. And we both were very excited about it. But a lot of our talks were, can you tell me how this works? Because I'm over here planning my notebook, planning my interview. How am I going to talk to the team? What is the staff, like, what's the state of the staff right now? What do I need to know? She's telling me about, you know, our different budgets and how an endowment works and how the travel scheduling and planning works and all this stuff. She just basically had to teach me all of that in a very short amount of time.
Well, you came in obviously with all the street cred because you win 4 championships in 5 years. But one of the single hardest situations to be in is replacing a legend. And you were doing that at 22 years old. How did you straddle the fence between trying to honor Karen's legacy while still starting to create your own blueprint?
Yeah, that's been something that's been on the forefront of my mind ever since day one. One of the biggest things in my hiring process was I don't want to change a ton. What we were doing and what we still are doing is working. My mindset was more, how can we modernize it? How can we just evolve a little bit more? And really simple details were the first places I started. We refurnished the whole building because it was office furniture and clunky and people only really showed up for practice. I wanted it to be a home where people came not just to practice and they felt comfortable and we can be vulnerable together. And it's super silly, but they needed a couch to sit on.
They like hanging out here now.
Yeah, they come, upstairs there's a little nook and they come in and they're running from class and they eat. And I remember you have no time and all you want to do is just sit. They have a little couch up there. Some of them take a 15-minute nap on it. Another thing was trash cans in the bathroom. As females, we need a trash can next to the toilet. All of these things outside of, coaching that matter and they make an impact. And then when it came to our field hockey stuff, everything existed. Our values existed. But what company, major organization, anything in excellence doesn't have them on a paper that you look at every day. We know what Carolina field hockey is, but let's explicitly state it. Let's put our principles down so that when we present binders and we show recruits, this is who we are.
What are the mantras that you created that exist in whatever document on whatever whiteboard?
Ooh.
List those for me.
We're a passing team is big for us. And you need to be the best passers, receivers, and eliminators in the game. Take care of your job, right? But we pass before we dribble. And that's why we need to be good passers and receivers because we share the ball and we do it together. We play a team game and a very fluid game of hockey. So there is no selfishness. There's no, I'm going to do this. Thanks for being there. Thanks for making that long run. No. Even if you don't pass them the ball, you're going to turn to them and acknowledge and say, I saw you. We're a passing team. And I think that embodies Carolina field hockey as a program and in our play. I kind of said another one, do your job. I'm very big on if there is a job at hand that needs to be done, do it well, do it with pride. Everyone relies on you to do that job. If you need help, ask for it. If you make a mistake, that's okay. Just don't make it twice. Do your job. Play fast, think slow. So, we want to play a very quick, exciting game. And again, in life, you need to be able to adapt, problem solve. I need to be able to make decisions and stand behind them, but the game should slow down for you in those moments. How are we training every single day? So when it's happening so quickly, when we need to be confident in a decision, it slows for us and we can have confidence in that.
Don't go anywhere. Up next on The Athlete Effect, how Erin navigated a challenge with her players and assistants that could have derailed her coaching career before it even started. And Erin and I talk about the 2028 Olympics. Is she interested? Will she pass? We discuss after the break. You had to do a massive sell job to get Bubba Cunningham to give you the head coaching job at 22 years old.
Yeah.
What about what you said in that room and your process for preparing the interview, do you think would be helpful for student athletes when they're getting ready to apply for their first jobs and they're getting ready to go through the interview process?
First, when it comes to the preparation, you have to do the work. And I did the work.
What was the work?
I prepared everything. You have to think through every scenario. You have to think about the what ifs. You have to be confident, of course, but you need plan A, and then if that doesn't work, plan B. What if this happens? Plan B1, C, whatever. Any A to Z, 1 through a million. Yeah. You need to think through everything. And my notebook, I still have it, has, before I started interviewing, what my talk with the senior class was going to be, what my talk with each assistant was going to be. And I didn't even get the job yet, so you have to prepare. And if you think you're prepared enough, you're not. Keep going. Yeah. Once you're prepared and you feel like that. You need to gather all of your points and everything you need to get across, because you're going to be really prepared and you're going to have a lot of stuff, right? But the way you communicate it needs to be concise. It needs to be very understandable, and you need to be able to say it with confidence. So I took everything, in my plan, in my 30-day, what I would do in the first week, 30 days, 60 days, my 3-year plan, everything, and compiled it into 4 points so that I could look Bubba in the eye and say, we can get into all of this, but 1, I know my X's and O's. We don't need to talk about X's and O's. I'm the best field hockey player there ever was in collegiate field hockey. I will coach them well. Secondly, I love Carolina, and I will do anything for the people around me, this program, this university, whatever you say, you know how much this school means to me, and I will lead with that. 3, I have a wide range of people I connect with. The little girls who have followed me on social media, the current student body who I relate with because I'm them and I'm here, and older donors, older supporters, Carolina alums. I will make it a point to make everyone feel like they are being touched from our program. And fourthly, I had to name the elephant in the room. I am young. I am looking at you being 22 years old, but I am mature beyond my years, and I am not afraid to acknowledge it and lead with that I understand that's a part of my story, but I think it makes it very special. And everything in my plan and that I was prepared for was encompassed in those 4 points. So he was like, okay.
Single hardest thing you have had to navigate through as a head coach?
Managing people. And I think that goes into my players, and then managing a staff. And it taught me so much, and I'm glad it happened, but it was challenging sitting across from your former roommate who you did everything with, and now you're her coach, and you're talking to her about finances and scholarships and what's available and what's not. That's not easy and not a fun conversation. Talking to your assistants who are almost 10 years older than you and telling them what to do is not easy.
How did you make it work?
Your people need to know that you'll fight for them, and they need to know that they're valued. And it took time, and it's not just telling them that, it's actions. And I just spent a lot of time and energy because I knew how great they were, and I knew how well we could work together, and I was coached by them. So I knew they were good coaches too in their job, but it's bigger than that for me. It's who they are as people and how they lead and how I gain energy from them. I value them, and I see greatness in them, and I want to do this together.
9-year-old Erin said to her dad, I think I want to play in the Olympics. 2024 comes around. You ask for a tryout. USA Field Hockey says no. Take me back to that day, and when you got word that opportunity, that door was closed.
Yeah, it wasn't a great moment. I guess I wanted to be an Olympian. And for me at the time, throughout my career and everything, and even early in my coaching career, that was the pinnacle, right? And that was what my brain tied to the greatest of all time. And then one day I was like, I don't know if I need to. I'm like, why for so long in my career did I need that validation, if you will? And now I'm in such a place where I don't need that title to know the impact I'm having, or to know that I am great at something, and to be confident saying that in a way that I'm not worried about sounding cocky or anything, because that's not how I am. I just know I have a gift.
It's more about fulfillment. It feels more about fulfillment.
Like I have that fulfillment. I have that gratification, and not in a way of let's take our foot off the gas. It more just propels me more, but it's there, not tied to being an Olympian,
So with LA 28 coming up, is that thought still in your head? I mean, could you still get on the field and be a starter?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you still got it.
Give me 2 weeks, and I could get out there and probably hang. Give me 2 weeks, and I'll whip them into shape out there.
So LA 28, do you think about playing or potentially coaching?
I think the thought's still there. I think it's much quieter though now. I think I find so much fulfillment, I think that's a great word for it, in the role that I'm in now. I'm really enjoying this side of things and just impacting in this way and being creative and leading and evolving as a person. And it's like running a business. It's conversations like this. All of these opportunities can't happen at the same time, and I'm okay with that. So I don't think I'll close the door until like the whistle blows, and then who knows if I'll be on the field or not, like that's whatever. But I have a very different outlook now.
You've had the chance to win championships as a player and in your first year as a head coach. I want to know how they're different, specifically when it comes to coming down to the wire.
Oh.
Because for your Natty as a coach, it goes against Northwestern into double overtime, shootout, and this is the first time there's a championship sitting in front of you where you can't control it because you're not on the field. What was going through your head when you're standing on the sideline and all you can really do is pray for your girls?
I was going to say prayers. Prayers were going through my head.
Lots of prayers.
I've never gone back and looked at my Aura numbers, but I should see what my heart rate was at. But I think it was one of my favorite parts of coaching is the idea that I can't do it. I need to help you do it.
That's one of your favorite parts of coaching?
One of my favorite parts of coaching.
Okay.
There is so much gratification in having to stay on that side of the white line and not being able to do it and seeing the people you believe in and who you pour all of this energy and emotion and time in, seeing them do it. And I really, as a player, I was like, what can be better? Like 4 national championships, we got 5 conference championships, those celebrations, some were home, some were away. Like, I got it made. I'm never gonna, coaching will be great. I'll have a really good time, but winning won't be nearly as fun. Oh boy, was I wrong. As a player, there's still a piece of you that is the one getting up early. That's sweaty and tired and running and juggling class, and you're the one being told to get on the line. So you're a team player, but there's still a piece that's like, I want this for me too. I want a trophy. As a coach, there is quite literally no time for that. You are worried about the players first and foremost. On the field, off the field, you're worried about your parents, you're worried about your donors, you're worried about your staff, you're worried about all the people watching, you're worried about the fans who you've never even spoken a word to, but you hope they have a great game. You're worried about your support staff, everyone. There's no time for you to think about yourself. So then in that moment, to see everyone else enjoying what you just simply wanted them to enjoy, it blew winning a championship as a player out of the water. And I think because it was such a close game and so much was on the line and it literally came down to the wire, it made it that much sweeter. It's one of the most challenging pieces of coaching, but one of the most beautiful, that once that whistle blows, I can motivate, but it's up to them.
We're going to take a short break, but on the other side, we talk NIL, how Erin guides her players on that front, and her own strategy for building her brand, Erin's go-to meal hacks, and what might she be doing if she wasn't coaching? Her answer will definitely surprise you. NIL is an interesting situation with you. Student athletes being able to monetize their name, image, and likeness came online in the summer of 2021. You were already a couple years into your career. So you know what it's like not to have NIL deals and what it's like to have NIL deals. What's the most significant thing that you got out of NIL as a player?
I honestly was a part of NIL, I think, when it was, with what it was intended to be. And that was the experiences, the opportunities, the ability to make relationships with these brands and companies and be in these rooms that you never as a student athlete would have been able to be in before. We got paid for that and we made money, and that put right into savings. Thank you, Mother. But it was about everything else. I think the NCAA and everyone is obviously working through what NIL has transformed into today and how we can kind of get that back on track.
How do you position it with your players now?
I am the only coach here at Carolina. I don't know, maybe one of the only few who have experienced NIL as a player. So I can help you. And as a program that is at the top year in and year out, We bring in the best recruits and the best players. They will be the best in their class. We will maximize what you can do. But let me get this straight, that the education you're receiving and the lessons you will learn here to develop you as a young woman and the championships we're planning to win with you, those come first. Yeah. And again, this is great. Student athletes should be able to monetize off of their name, image, and likeness. But that's as a reward, and that's an extra benefit of what Carolina provides.
How interesting is it, though, having conversations on the regular with your players about building their brand and building your brand?
Yeah, it's so important to me. I think you need to do it at a younger age now, especially as women. It's massive for me that our job here, it's to win championships, but we do that through developing young women so that when their 4 years or 5 years at Carolina or whatever college they're at is done, they are sent off with skills and tools and confidence and whatever emotions and feelings they need to keep excelling after their time here. The earlier you care about yourself as a brand and are very particular about building yourself as a brand, the better off you're going to be.
How conscious are you about Erin Matson's brand?
Very.
How do you shape it now as a coach differently than you shaped it as a player?
I think that's honestly another very challenging part of my job is that I'm 26 and a head coach. So, and I love social media. So my presence in the world, in a lot of people's minds, that's a dichotomy. How can you be 26 years old and like a normal 26-year-old, but also be in charge of forming other 26-year-olds and younger girls and representing a program? And that's very challenging and fun for me. It's like a puzzle. And I try to be very authentic through it, but everything I do has a decision behind it. Everything. It has to. What clothes I put on, what my jewelry is when I'm on camera like this, when I'm in front of the team, what my house looks like when I have a donor over and my staff over.
What are the adjectives that you want to represent your brand?
Ooh, fun question. I like that question. Adjectives. I would say something along the lines of like elevated or elegance. I would say detail-oriented in the way I coach, in the way I present myself, the way I prepare. I love details. I would say authentic. Like I don't want to try to be anyone else. And I think that's okay to learn about yourself and like use these college and my job and social media as avenues to do that too for myself. So something like authentic. And then I don't know the right word, but like felt almost.
Understood?
Maybe, yeah. Like feeling for me is a big thing. I coach. I want you to feel something. I can tell you what to do. But if you connect that to a feeling, same thing, like if I interact or if I give a graduation speech, I want them to feel something. And that's part of my brand, whatever I'm choosing for them to feel.
You ever cried in front of your players?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I got that from my dad, if you can't tell. Yeah.
Your words, not mine.
And that's like, that's also something I'm fascinated by, and that's how I lead. And when it comes to vulnerability, I believe you can be fierce and competitive and a killer and also have a massive heart. And I embody that. I don't shy away from that. I think there's a way you do it where it's not unprofessional or it's not silly or you're not asking for the attention. But yeah, I think it's important for them to know that it matters to me. If anything, that to me means that I connect with you and I feel you. And that gives me confidence because that means I can help understand you and we share that and then I can help coach you.
What do you do on the self-care side to make sure that burnout doesn't become a thing for you?
Yeah. You hear this all the time, right? Like coaches being like, it's a very stressful environment in any profession where you're a high achiever, you're going and you're on.
You always have to be on, always.
You have to. Everyone's looking at you. One of my coaches actually told me that we were on an away trip and we were sitting downstairs and I was in like a scoring slump. And he noticed that I was just like frustrated with myself. I forget exactly how I phrased it, but the message more so resonated of like, everyone's watching you. I think I was a junior at this time. Everyone's watching you at every moment. And that's not fair, but you either rise to that or you have the mindset where it's not fair and you'll just kind of pitter off and whatever, and you won't make an impact. And I always have the mindset that I want to be doing this for a very long time. But I know I will not be able to if I'm not taking care of myself personally, if I'm not filling this business mind side of me that I have, and just going and being a normal 26-year-old with my girlfriends. I need to do that. I need an outlet. I like traveling. It energizes me so then when I come back, I'm stronger. It's important for my players to see that I have fun with fashion and I can, I can dress up and go out and do practices because that makes me happy for the day and I feel professional and I feel ready, so then I can coach better. Yeah. I go to bed early all the time. My parents don't. I don't know where I got that from, but I wake up early, so I go to bed early. I know I need my sleep. It's all very important to me that I take care of myself as a person and that the people I work with also see me doing that and have the space for them to do that. Yeah. So then we can do what we are supposed to do together better.
Okay, quick hits. You talk about travel. Number one place you haven't been that's on the bucket list.
Oh, Greece.
Where in Greece?
I don't know, just Greece, anywhere.
Okay, I'll go with you.
If you recommend.
Number two, your go-to meal.
Okay, we were laughing about this. Food is fuel for me during the week.
Same.
So ground beef, hard-boiled eggs, cottage cheese, vegetables, broccoli, carrots, whatever. Otherwise, if I had to pick, some Italian. And I love steak. I love food. There's literally not a single food I don't like, so.
Best meal prep hack.
I would just say protein. It's easy. Again, we're always on. We need the protein. So easy protein. Again, cottage cheese. I meal prep my meat at the beginning of the week so I can just take it. It helps me stay energized. It helps me stay full. I'll just leave it with that, protein.
New homeowner at 26. Mm-hmm. Bring in somebody to design the home for you or do it yourself?
No, do it myself. I love it. And it takes more time and energy, but I think in another lifetime I would love to be in the stylist realm or an interior designer realm.
Last question. Any athlete who watches this show, what is the most important thing you want to impart on them about the importance of what they're learning now and how it's going to play a role in their career?
To any of the athletes watching, no matter your age, the sooner you realize that all of these moments are setting you up for something greater, the better, because you can reflect on them. You don't need to try to control anything. Just observe and reflect and learn about yourself and learn from others on what they do. And in that, I think you are never too young to be ambitious and chase something. You are never, if someone tells you not to do it, you probably should go be surrounded by other people. You can do so many things and you don't need to wait or follow a formula, and you can do it in your own way. And I had a lot of belief and a lot of confidence instilled in me, and I hope watching this, however young you are, you can feel the power of that and just go be great in anything. It doesn't have to be field hockey. If it is, let me know. But
give me a call.
Whatever it is, just go be great and believe in yourself.
Erin Matson, thank you for being a part of the Athlete Effect Sisterhood.
Thank you.
See, I told you had to listen all the way through. Where else are you going to get these amazing nuggets that Erin Matson would be an interior designer in another life, right? All kidding aside, though, what's stuck with me about this young lady from the very first time I spoke with her is her maturity. Erin is 26, and the intentionality she has with pretty much everything she does in life as a young coach, how comfortable she is. Even though she's a hard ass, crying in front of her players, showing them she cares, all this stuff really matters. And not like I have a say in anything, but personally, I would love to see Erin suit up for Team USA in LA in 2028. How awesome would that be? You will find all of Erin's social handles in the show notes. Give her and UNC Field Hockey a follow. All of the accounts for yours truly and the Athlete Effect are in there as well. And if you wouldn't mind, as soon as we wrap up here, please take a moment to subscribe to our channels. Your support is so meaningful as we build our community. And whether you're an athlete, a parent, a coach, we promise promise you there is something in here for everyone that will truly stick. Shouting out our podcast squad, Allison Johnson, Carlos Delgado, Jess Levy, and Kimberly Neal. The Athlete Effect is a Walk Swiftly Productions podcast, copyright 2026, all rights reserved. Once an athlete, always an athlete. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you again soon.